Hello and welcome to today's session on Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya from IQ Ideas, and I bring you current affairs and important news updates from a daily newspaper. Great articles that you can read for reading comprehension, and of course, important words of vocabulary to improve your English language. Today is the 8th of August 2025, and without further ado, let's jump into the main news headlines for today. So, continuing the tariff saga by US President Donald Trump, there is a statement by the Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi where he says, "Will protect our farmers, ready to pay heavy price for it." Will protect farmers, ready to pay heavy price for it. So that's a pretty strong statement. As we know, US President Donald Trump has been imposing tariffs left, right, and center on a lot of countries. Initially, India was slapped with 25%, which was hiked to 50%. And one of the main reasons cited was, of course, our purchase of oil from Russia. But India has obviously taken a strong stance. And the Prime Minister Modi responded to the US President's decision to raise the tariff against India to 50% by ruling out concessions to American business in the agriculture, dairy, and fishery sectors, and said he was ready to pay any price he may personally have to pay for resisting the pressure. And I quote, "For us, the interest of our farmers is top priority. India will never compromise on the interest of its farmers, dairy farmers, and fishermen. I know I will personally have to pay a heavy price, but I'm prepared for it." So these remarks came hours after Trump imposed an additional 25% tariff burden on Indian goods as a penalty for ostensibly buying Russian oil, bringing the overall duty on Indian exports to 50% and further fanning tariff tensions. So, a couple of interesting words. Ostensible. What exactly does this word mean? And to fan trouble. So, to fan trouble is to increase the amount of trouble for somebody. And of course, the word which has been used, ostensible, is a very interesting word. It means as appears or is stated to be true, though not necessarily. So, ostensible is similar to the word apparently. Okay, so that pretty much is the news with, of course, an inset which says titled Trump Turbulence, but it says gold crosses 1.02 lakh per 10 grams to mark a hit a high. Rupee extends recovery, settles 14 paise higher. Sensex glides over 700 points mid-session but recovers all lost ground. Okay, and the other news in the same article is that Trump said the 25% secondary tariff on India is a warning for China amid indication that New Delhi is becoming collateral damage in a great power fracas. So the word fracas is very interesting. Fracas basically is like a fight, right? But more not a very formal fight, but more of the street fighting kind of thing. Asked if China could face similar penalties for buying Russian oil, he said, "It may happen, I don't know. I can't tell you yet. We are doing it probably with a couple of others. One of them could be China." So, as expected, no clear response on that, but the next few days would be definitely interesting to see if US President Donald Trump does have it in him to impose such things on China. China, of course, being the behemoth that it is expected to respond interestingly. Okay, moving ahead, below that we have the ongoing fracas, if I may use the word, regarding the special intensive revision in the electoral polls ahead of the Bihar elections, and Rahul claims proof of poll fraud, and EC says back charges on oath. So Rahul Gandhi on Thursday alleged a huge criminal fraud in polls had been perpetrated through a collusion between BJP and EC, citing a Congress study that claimed the addition of fake voters in an assembly seat led to BJP winning the Bangalore Central Lok Sabha constituency in 2024. Okay. In response, of course, the chief electoral officers of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Haryana asked the Congress MP to back up his claims. They told him that necessary action would be initiated if he repeats his claims on oath, declaring them to be true to the best of his knowledge and belief. So pretty interesting things happening there. Just a quick update on the Justice Verma case. So the Supreme Court junks Justice Verma plea challenging in-house probe. Leaving Allahabad High Court Justice Yashwant Verma's fate to be determined by Parliament, the Supreme Court on Thursday trashed his petition challenging the in-house inquiry process, the finding of the probe tying him to a cash pile found at his official residence, and the then Chief Justice of India's recommendation to the President and PM to initiate process to strip him of judgeship. Okay, so people interested in that sordid piece of affair will definitely keep a track of this information. Okay, the next page is the city page, city page, city page. Not much. State page, just one interesting headlines related to Uttarakhand floods, where the government is to bring back 141 stranded tourists. But then we quickly move on to the nation. So on the nation page, we of course have the headline, Putin to visit India as US targets Russian oil buyers. Yesterday we had the information of a meeting between NSA Ajit Doval and Vladimir Putin of Russia, I beg your pardon. So this is an update. The National Security Advisor Ajit Doval calls on Russian president in Moscow. Okay, so NSA Ajit Doval calls on Russian president in Moscow, and as an update to that, Putin to visit India. Okay, so that is an interesting thing to see what will be the result of these meetings, considering the heavy 50% tariff that US President Donald Trump has imposed upon India. The next nation page, ED needn't act like crook while probing crooks, Supreme Court. Inflammatory statement, but I'm not going to pay much heed to that. Okay. The next page has something related to NEET which caught my eye. Let us see what is that. So the Supreme Court says evaluate NEET booklets manually. That seems to be an interesting statement. The NEET, of course, is the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, probably one of the larger tests in India conducted for admission to medical seats. So in a setback for the NTA, which is the National Testing Agency, the Supreme Court has ordered manual evaluation of a NEET UG 2025 answer sheet after a candidate alleged that the question paper was stapled incorrectly, resulting in a jumbled sequence of questions. The direction comes amid growing criticism that NTA has failed to adequately address students' grievances, well, with some even being told to seek redressal from courts. Now, of course, the NTA has been under the scanner a lot, huge scams in the past 1 year. There was this huge NEET scandal with almost in NEET 2024 edition, with almost 60 plus students getting a cent% score, which was later revised, and then the numbers came down significantly. There was the huge scam unearthed of malpractices in the conduct of the exam itself. After fallout of that particular thing, happened to be a tough NEET paper this year. Then, of course, the common law admission test being conducted by the consortium of NLUs, which has always been beleaguered with a lot of problems, again was in the news last year with the expected process of admissions to start by end of December or January, landing up in the Supreme Court, and then because of the judgments and other things, the entire process was able to start only as late as May this year. Okay, so with that, on the education front, we move ahead and we come to yet another nation page. Okay, so here we just have an extension of the news of the claims being made by leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi that fraud is being perpetrated by the Election Commission, and of course similar related news where the CEOs of 3 states, that are chief electoral officers of 3 states, are telling the Congress MP to make such allegations under oath. It is easy to just make statements, but when you have to back up your claims in an official forum, then it is the true measure of how accurate or how reliable or even how true your claims are. Okay. Below, we have an interesting article on how Tamil Nadu says no to drugs. From organizing contraband destruction drives to forming narco coordination committees in districts and launching 18,000 anti drug clubs in colleges, the state is using an all hands on deck approach to keep narcotics off street. So, here is an interesting phrase which is all hands on deck. So, what does the phrase all hands on deck mean? It means taking use of all the resources, and more importantly, every involved party is actually contributing. So when every person is contributing, or rather every person is required to participate, that is a call to all hands on deck. Okay. Uh, the next nation page, nothing much. We come to my favorite, the middle column. So, as expected, the top column by Saeed Akbaruddin, who is a former permanent representative of India to UN. The title reads India's 21-day Trump trap. And the line below it, he's left a short window before penal tariffs apply. There's no question of appeasing him. But the government of India can be smartly flexible, like buying more US oil if it's priced competitively or engaging Russia on the ceasefire issue. So this is going to be an interesting article, especially considering the fact that the author is actually a former permanent representative of India to the United Nations. Below that, we have a column by Anjal Prakash, a research director at Bharati Institute of Public Policy, ISB. And the title reads, What Put Dharali in Harm's Way? Climate change is big in the Himalayan region, but instead of mitigating risks, governments are aggravating these. Environmental clearances are undependable, so local communities pay the price. This, of course, is a reference to a lot of disasters which have happened, ecological disasters in the Himalayan regions. The left three columns, starting with Magamatics, which is, of course, a portmanteau of the words MAGA, Make America Great Again, and mathematics, which reads, Trump sold America the dream of greatness built on tariffs, but the math doesn't add up. This definitely is going to be a great article to read. Below that, Wheels Within Wheels, the Supreme Court right on Matheran's hand-pulled rickshaws. But the how part of the change looks tricky. And of course, Jug Suraya's jugular vein entertainment comedy humor column, Better Medicine. From childhood, we are taught that what we dislike is good for us and what we like is bad. The next is a special page with a half-page article on why Mumbai's mosques are falling silent. Muslims navigate silence as the police enforce noise rules, forcing mosques to mute loudspeakers and shift the call to azan to phone apps. Interesting article. We move ahead quickly to the global page, where there's a little bit of more detailed information on the 2x tariffs on India, a warning to China, which may also face the same, says Trump. Apple in, Intel out. Trump remakes US tech industry to MAGA specs. Putin says he hopes to meet Trump next week, likely in UAE. Want to take military control of Gaza, says Bibi, and Bibi would be Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, Ukraine's President Zelensky says Europe must have a role in talks. So a lot of updates on all the ongoing conflict-related news that we have been following in the past few weeks. The business page gives a couple of updates or outcomes expected from the Trump tariffs. One, to beat 50% duty, exporters speed up US consignments, try to ship maximum before August 27th, redeploy manpower. Okay. Trump tariffs, 17% is the effective rate, $50 billion monthly customs revenue. Interesting. We move ahead, we have the sports page. As expected, we have a lot of cricket related information, and of course a couple of a big column on chess, and that pretty much brings us to the end of today's news updates. So although there is no major new news. We do have the ongoing articles related to the Trump tariffs, the brouhaha surrounding the special intensive revision ahead of the Bihar polls, and so on. So if you have liked today's episode, hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Do leave your comments below.